See, if I told you I'm an Ayurveda startup, I'm a 25-year-old kid, in an industry where every brand is 100 plus years old, as a customer, you won't trust me. I would say my dada is probably one of the most successful, renowned Ayurvedic doctors in the history of India.
No, but it's been incredible to watch your journey, man. I mean, you've obviously had Srisha, who was a rock.
Until then, it was not so successful.
LiveItUp was something that you were really passionate about.
Today, if I launch that hangover product, it will be a much bigger success.
If someone's out there looking at raising money from you,
So as long as you're building a good business and you build a compelling story and you have the passion to do it, I'm not going to say no to anything.
so everyone, you all know the person in front of me. Sure, there's no question about it. Welcome to episode 6 of Beyond the Dream, where we talk to people that have fundamentally never given up on their goals, their dreams, the life that they wanted to build. Arjun, thanks so much for taking the time,
My
man.
pleasure. I'm excited for this.
We've known each other for a long time. We were in the same school. We obviously were in different batches. We didn't really hang out the way it was in school. We never talked to anyone in a batch different from you.
No, we hung out.
We hung out when?
On IYP camps, we hung out.
IYP camps, of course. That was the only melting pot.
Priya doesn't remember, he
school.
made fun of all the kids.
So that was... we judge ourselves in school. No, but thanks so much for taking the time, Arjun.
And you've seen actually the Dr. Vaidya's journey from very early on, right? I think 2017 we started working together on the accounts piece.
I think it was like about a year post you starting or experimenting with it.
A year post us starting, we started working together. I remember, other than helping us get our MIS in order, and then when we had an investor, getting our investor MIS in order, at one point we had a issue where we had a lot of churn in our accounts team.
Yeah.
And so I called you up and I was like, get me one person who doesn't leave. And if that person leaves, you replace that person.
I remember that.
We had someone seconded from...
We did. Even for us, I'm segueing a little bit, but when we started the business, it was so rudimentary. I mean, I was so stupid. We wanted to provide a service, but we inadvertently became a human resource provider. Like, you need an accountant? I will give you an accountant. So we just became as good as the person seconded, which isn't really a business, which is why we were facing a lot of those problems. But subsequently, since we learned, we centralized operation. That's a segue. I'll probably cut that out. No, but it's been incredible to watch your journey, man. I think something I love about my job, I'm like sometimes like, okay, people meet me and like, how are you doing accounting? Because that's not necessarily my personality. But I always tell them, listen, it's about meeting folks like an Arjun and seeing that entire journey and just, wind beneath their wings in some capacity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
like I remember when things were not scaling as well, and we had our maybe quarterly review meeting. I remember one conversation where you were like, look, it seems to be moving in the right direction. You're doing, let's say, 15 lakhs a month. The moment this looks like 50, 60 lakhs a month, it becomes a good business. And the moment that happened, we got our first round of capital and all of that. Right? I mean, so you get to see it from the outside as well. And those snippets as well for an entrepreneur who's horse with blinders, right?
Yeah.
We don't see the world around us.
Correct.
Sometimes that perspective is important.
110%. I think that, and that kind of, it's such a lonely journey. I mean, you've obviously had Srisha, who's a rock. I'm more than a rock, I'm sure.
Until then, it was not so successful.
I like it. The wife always gets
like
credit,
7-8 months in.
Yeah. No, but
this place is also nostalgic. Our office was down the road from here.
I know. AC market is right. Exactly. Yeah. Damn, I remember that. Crazy. No, but before we obviously, I really want to talk about the Vaidya journey, and I think you're so well documented online. I think as a friend and someone who's known you, more in a personal capacity, I would say, right? Yeah. The idea was just to kind of dig into the weeds and really just get as nasty about the tough parts of building it, because that, I think, is today what is lacking online, right? Yeah. But before we jump into that, just for anyone that's watching this, because we're going to push this out a lot at some point, for anyone that is watching this that doesn't know where you started, little story on your background, all those different things, and then we'll obviously jump into your entrepreneurial journey, just for their benefit.
Look, my name's Arjun Vaidya, and Vaidya, my last name means Ayurvedic doctor. I come from a legacy of 150 years of Ayurveda in my family. I grew up in Bombay, lived all my life here, other than my 4 years in college. We, of course, went to school together. I grew up with asthma, suffered from juvenile bronchitis.
Oh, damn.
I grew up with pumps, nebulizers, inhalers, steroids. I was the only guy on a school camp who had to carry my blanket and pillow from home because I had dust allergies. And that prevented me from having a childhood that my friends had. I couldn't play cricket and football. That's why I grew up playing golf and squash.
Right.
Because there's too much dust on the cricket field. But my dada cured me of asthma when I was 15.
Right.
I started playing cricket again. I became captain of the Ambani school cricket team.
Nice.
And I went to college in the US and I saw yoga being repackaged. Yoga brands, yoga mats, yoga gyms, yoga apparel. And I thought to myself, we can't let the same happen with Ayurveda. It's amazing that yoga is global, but India has nothing to do with it.
Right.
And I'm super patriotic.
Right.
So I said, I'll do something with this legacy. And that was the start of a seed. I came back to India in 2013.
Yeah.
And I got a job in private equity and finance. I worked at a fund called L Keratin.
Nice.
And at that fund, I saw some changes happen in the Indian consumer sector. We used to invest in consumer businesses who are doing more than 100 crores in sales.
Got it.
So I got to meet the best consumer entrepreneurs of our country.
Nice. So you've been on this train of thought for...
Well, some people say you've been on this train of thought, but like as a 21-and-a-half-year-old analyst in a private equity fund.
So it wasn't intentional. It just so happened.
I wanted to be on the business side of brands.
Okay.
And the story is quite funny. I said, remember 2012-13, like a lot of your friends were also in the US studying, etc., all of that. Everybody wanted to stay there, right?
Yeah.
Or in the US or the UK or Australia, they wanted to stay there. And I had this weird thought that I don't want to stay in the US at all. Like I didn't even apply for a job in the US because I said, look, my life eventually will be in India. That's for sure. I'm 100% sure. So why do 4 years in the US of undergrad where I had an amazing time?
Yeah.
I had the best 4 years of my life.
Yeah.
Then do 2-3 years of working, then do 2 years of an MBA and come back to India 10 years later as an NRI.
Sure.
Pretty much an NRI, like, oh, there's too much traffic, there's too much corruption. Why is everything moving so slowly? Why do people not reply to emails, right? You talk to someone who's come back to India after 10 years, this is what they'll say.
Spot on, spot on.
And I didn't want to be that person. So I said, look, if I know I'm going to be here long term, let me come here now.
Right.
Because the way to do business in India, the way to get used to life here, it takes a little bit of time to get used to that structure, right? Like in Dr. Vaidya's, we had a specific policy. If someone says, I have followed up, and I know you guys do this as well, an email is not enough.
Sure.
It's an email, a WhatsApp, a text message, a call, and a LinkedIn message.
Yeah.
And a LinkedIn message, right? So that was the thought process behind coming back to India.
Right.
I got a great job eventually, but it had its own share of struggle. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And it was December 2012, and I had 5 months left in college. I was in my winter break.
Yeah.
And my dad said, why don't you come for dinner with one of my friends? He's also a Brown alum. He's from the UK.
Right.
And just join us for dinner. And so I joined them for dinner. And the guy asked me, so what are you doing after you graduate? I said, I have no clue. He said, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And he said, okay, you're impressive. You're smart. You have a 4.0 GPA. You're a good kid. I said, I want to be on the business side of brands. He said, what's your dream company? I said, LiveItUp, Moet Hennessy Group. Right? Because that was the luxury, Emmet, etc. That. He said, okay, my friend runs the private equity business of LVMH group called L Capital Asia, L Capital. And I didn't even know a fund as such existed. And he's in the Paris office. Let me connect you on email to him.
Right.
Connect me to this guy on email. I spoke to him and he said, you seem like an impressive kid. There's no way I'm sponsoring an Indian visa, Indian guy's visa to come to Paris and work with you. So we have an office in Singapore. I'll connect you there.
Right.
Got connected to the office in Singapore. And the guy got the email from Paris. So he said like, let me just give this guy an internship. Like,
amazing.
So
amazing.
I was supposed to get on call with him. He connected me to his HR. I prepared a lot for that interview and she just said, yeah, like you seem impressive. You have the job.
Amazing.
But it's not a job.
Yeah.
After 2 crore rupee education that my parents had spent at that time, I got a 40,000 rupee a month internship.
Amazing.
And then they said, where do you want to live? I was like, 40,000 rupees a month. I want to live in Mumbai because there's nowhere else I can make ends meet.
I'm assuming that couldn't have been online. They had an office.
No, they had an office. They had an office here. And so I got this internship and I felt bad. Like when I came back, I felt bad because I was telling my parents like, this is all I'm earning. Like, pretty much I can barely make ends meet and I'm living at home and all of that, right? And my dad said, make yourself indispensable, you'll get the job.
Right.
I said, no, they've never had an analyst in this fund globally, right? They've never had an undergrad kid. But I got lucky. I got e-commerce as an opportunity to work on. Just when it was kicking.
Yeah.
And I became the point person for the fund in e-commerce all through Asia.
Wow.
And so in 6 months, I got my internship renewed. And in 1 year, I got a job full time. and I got paid well. And yeah, that was the journey before. And then I quit my job in 2016 when my dada passed.
Right.
Because I made him a promise to take for the Ayurveda legacy. And that started the Dr. Vaidya's journey.
So before we jump into that, I just want to talk about something very interesting. I think 2012, 2011, 2013, even then, startups weren't cool. Coming back to India or staying in India was not cool, at least for folks that had the privilege to even leave it in the first place. It was extremely contrarian at the time. I kind of made a similar career choice, applied to a bunch of B schools at a particular point after working. And I was like, dude, this is where it's at. Like, it's going to be here. I think my salary, forget internship, my salary was some 10, 12,000 up to maybe 40. I peaked at like 70 grand a month. And that was like 6 years into my career. I don't think I was necessarily thinking about looking back, it's stupid. I wasted 5 years of compounding.
But we are privileged.
Not even privileged, dude. Like, my dad is retired and he hasn't worked in like 15 years. My mom is, she teaches kids. But obviously you have a home to live in.
Correct.
You have fucking food on the table. People don't even have that. And you said like, fuck, like I was feeling bad at a particular point saying, dude, I've built myself up. I think of myself in a certain way and the market values me like this. I went through the same thing, man. I was like, dude, like, do I have to give up on what I want to do or build in my life to be able to just survive? So yeah, kudos to you for that, man. Because India needs, I just want to just stop for a second because we need hundreds and thousands of more people.
And I think I had a very tough time when I came back because 2013 summer I came back to India. And 2013 was a shit time. Like, exchange rate was at its worst. There was corruption scam after corruption scam. Globally, people were looking at India not so favorably.
Yeah.
I was working for a European fund in India. At some point between 2013 and 14, they were contemplating shutting down the India operation.
Right.
And there were 4 or 5 other people in the India operation and they were full-time employees, right? So they got like the opportunity to transfer. No.
Oh, they got the opportunity.
They were full-time employees.
Sure.
As an intern, nobody had thought of me. I didn't even know that they're thinking of shutting the operation. And then I saw some news.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what's going to happen to me now? And then, 2014 government changed and things started looking up and all of that.
Right.
But it wasn't looking so great. I remember very clearly, my office was in Taj Mahal, Colaba. We had 2 rooms or 3 rooms in that building.
Right.
I remember the first day, like I reached office at 9 a.m. and of course nobody reaches at 9 a.m. So I'm calling my boss and I'm like, so I'm in the hotel lobby. Is there an office wing in the hotel? And she's like, no, just go up. The tower wing, there's a few rooms here.
Huh.
And so of course there's a famous Japanese restaurant called Wasabi there. My dad loves it. I was young, I couldn't afford it. But my dad said, look, let's go for dinner one day, right? So this is the end of 2013. I wait for my dad. We had a table, let's say 8:30. He was running late. So he said, go get the table. So I go from my office down and go get the table. And I'm the only person in the restaurant.
Yeah.
I go get the table thinking they'll give my table away to someone else because it's a popular restaurant.
Yeah.
But I'm the only one in the restaurant. And we eat that meal with only 2 other people in that restaurant, which is a popular restaurant in India.
Right.
Because it's one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. And that to me was a reality check that economically right now our country is going through, it was a Friday night, like the weekend, right? And so that was like, I looked around me and I was like, okay, things are not great now. But like at some point you got to just stick through those times and eventually that decision was the best decision I made, right? Because most of my friends who stayed for 1, 2, 3, 4 years in the US had that 1, 2, 3, 4 years later coming and acquainting themselves with India, which I didn't have.
I understand. You just saved that time. No, beautiful, man. Thanks for sharing that. I think maybe a lot of people don't know about that backstory to what even led you to Dr. Vaidya. So obviously it's a family business for all intents and purposes, and
it's not a family business.
Why? How?
My family business is actually in the jewelry and watch space.
Right.
My dad and my mom and my brother.
I've grown up looking at your mom all across Beach Canyon. Who's that pretty lady? I'm even like 6 years old or whatever. She's literally plastered all over.
So that's the family business.
Yeah.
The Ayurveda business was not a business.
Okay.
The place that you came to, that my office was, if you remember, there's a clinic outside.
Yes.
That was the business.
Okay.
One clinic that my dada used to run, before him my great-grandfather used to run, because they were very popular, they had a small pharmacy. If you remember, like in the reception,
Yeah,
all
when
the
you
products
enter-
were displayed. You could buy products
Correct.
there as well. That was the business.
So it's essentially a doctor's clinic.
A doctor's clinic, and because it was Ayurvedic, you were allowed to sell medicine, your own medicine from
Right.
that clinic as well.
Got it.
And you had 300 patients a day coming to that clinic, so it was
Crazy.
not a very small clinic, it was a reasonable
Yeah, yeah.
sized clinic. And as the clinic grew, we also created a manufacturing facility to make the medicines, etc. So it was one clinic.
Understood.
And we sell it as a family legacy, and it is a family legacy of 150 years. But there was no business, no brand name, no logo, no distribution. Like I remember in 2016 when I took it on,
Yeah.
the company was called Herbo Lab.
Right.
My dada's name was on the door as Dr. Vaidya, but the products used to say Herbo Lab on it.
Right.
And I tried to find a designer to create my branding and packaging.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the money to do it. I went
Right.
out and designers were expensive. I didn't know. I had no context, right? I didn't have 15, 20 lakh rupees to spend on a
Sure.
designer to give me a brand identity.
Correct.
And so my dad said, I'll help you.
Huh.
But there is one guy I want with me along for this ride.
Huh.
And you know the person actually. He said there was one friend of yours from school who made caricatures really well. And I don't know what he's doing right now, but I need to get him on board. His name's Rohan Rathod.
Oh, no way.
So my dad convinced Rathod to work with him on the packaging of Dr. Vaidya's. And so Rathod used to run his dad's ball bearing
Yeah.
business. And after work at 8 or 9 p.m., both of them would come to my house and sit
Yeah.
and jam with me.
Nice.
And that's how we came up with the packaging of Dr. Vaidya's.
You know, that guy is so
And
talented.
eventually
That's really,
I
really
couldn't
great.
even pay him, right? So my dad gave him a very expensive set of design pencils.
That's so sweet.
And a watch.
That's
Because that's
very-
what I could give my friend at
Yeah,
the time.
yeah, yeah.
And actually, every one of my friends helped me. So Rathod did the packaging.
Yeah.
Our friend Akshay Kanoria, Rathod did the design. Our
Right.
friend Akshay Kanoria's family runs a packaging business.
Absolutely.
So they did the packaging of the
Amazing.
first set of products, and they wouldn't take on such a small account. But they
Right.
did. And my friend Kona Goarikar is a film director, and so he did the first ad for Live It Up.
Fantastic, man. Live It Up. I remember that. I remember that product. And I remember you being so tongue-in-cheek about it. I think even at your wedding, you had... I think every wedding at some point, there were guys going around with trays with Live It Up.
Yeah.
So you really did something special. Okay, so you approached the business, it wasn't a family. Okay, so you really maybe took what is a small, very successful operation and zoomed out and said, hey, there's...
And we lost that operation.
how did
Because
you?
the clinic was my dada's clinic.
When he passed, you
We
mean?
put a doctor into that clinic, but nobody can replace a legend. Right?
Yeah.
I would say my dada was probably one of the most successful, renowned Ayurvedic doctors in the history of India. He was very, very famous and
Understood.
popular, and I mean, he had 12,000 patients on a monthly basis across India, writing to him via post. That means
Incredible.
that there was a nationwide appeal as well, right? You take that person out of the clinic is 10%, 20%.
That's
right?
the thing with the professional services.
Which is you've seen it, right? And so we got the clinic back to 10, 20, maybe 25% of what it was.
Yeah,
But the business was from zero completely.
understood. Damn. So it really, my understanding this was totally different. So thanks for clarifying that.
But we didn't want the understanding to be different, right? Because see, if I told you I'm an Ayurveda startup, I'm a 25-year-old kid who can't grow a mustache or beard, I'm still always clean shaven because I can't grow facial hair. In an industry where everyone is 50, 60 plus,
Yeah.
in an industry where every brand is 100 plus years old,
Yeah.
as a customer, you won't trust me. And so we were very strategic about the name of the company was Dr. Vaidya. My dada's name was Dr. Vaidya.
Correct.
But we had no reason to own this trademark. Owning that trademark was one of the smartest decisions we did because we applied for this trademark.
Yeah.
Dr. Vaidya is a generic word.
Sure.
Doctor, right? Vaidya means Ayurvedic doctor. But somehow we got that trademark. Everybody who hears Dr. Vaidya thinks it's their Dr. Vaidya that they know because everyone who's interacted with an Ayurvedic doctor, invariably it's a Vaidya.
Incredible.
So everybody thought that was their doctor.
Yeah.
Then we said 150 years of legacy, which wasn't wrong. It was 150 years of family legacy in Ayurveda, but it was a clinic. And so people thought they were really buying from an old ancient Ayurveda brand. And
Which is not true.
Which is not true, but that perception really helped me. So every time someone picked up the phone at Dr. Vaidya's customer service team, they said, I'm calling from Dr. Vaidya's, 150 साल की legacy है, नाम तो सुना होगा. And that instantly said, oh yeah, of course I know that Dr. Vaidya and that Dr. Vaidya's. Yeah, right. So even today, a lot of people say, of course I know Dr. Vaidya's. I'm like, how do you know Dr. Vaidya's? Which product did you ever use? And then they say some random thing that nothing to do with me. I'm like, okay, yeah, you know Dr. Vaidya's. But you don't know Dr. Vaidya's. Right?
Lovely. No, I think even having
So even that small thing like choosing the right trademark,
that's what
makes a big difference.
having that even ability to kind of recognize, okay, this is how I've got to stand out. And if you've got the knowledge of, maybe internally knowing that, okay, damn, maybe the brand was linked to a person that just unfortunately isn't there with us anymore. But to keep that alive is actually much harder than maybe getting even a mid business that's doing okay that you got to take up to another level, which was my understanding of your entire history. No, thanks for that. So let's jump right into it. I want to talk a little about your product approach with something like this, because you aren't an Ayurvedic doctor, right? And I think that is a theme that I keep finding with a lot of successful entrepreneurs. Even the product is key. They aren't necessarily the people who are formulating it in the kitchen.
But I will say that I had a big advantage. I inherited 110 approved proprietary formulations.
Sure.
And in Dr. Vaidya's journey, I did zero R&D.
Right.
Other than converting a Chyawanprash capsule into a toffee, that was the maximum R&D I did.
Okay.
Other than that, I did nothing, right?
Right.
But you're right. What helped me was the fact that I didn't come from the industry. And so I could think of a Chyawanprash toffee. I could think of a hangover cure. When I was thinking of these products, people from the Ayurveda industry, I used to sit on the Ayurvedic Drug Manufacturers Association till very recently, actually.
Sure.
They said, you're crazy, you're bastardizing the science, this will never work, nobody wants this.
Right.
But that was the reason that, like, because I was not from the industry and because I could think out of the box.
Yeah.
And I could think, what does Lunia want? What does Lunia's grandparent want? What does Lunia want? And Lunia doesn't want what I didn't want what my dad wanted.
Sure.
That allowed me to be able to establish a connect with modern consumers.
Yeah.
And there is a theme, even today, of not your parents' brands, right? Like, people are not buying Safari and VIP anymore.
Sure.
People are buying Mokobara and Assembly. People are not buying Baggett and Lavi and Caprese handbags. They're buying Miragio and some new brands to be launched. People are not buying Bata and Action shoes anymore. They're buying Comet sneakers. And so people are not buying I'm not going to name them, but the older Ayurveda brand. They want to buy Dr. Vaidya because they feel something, right? You're not going to buy JBL headphones anymore. The first thing you're going to think of, you want to buy a budget headphone is Boat or Noise.
Right.
So you connect with that. You connect with the brand, you connect with the founder. And that was the theme we played on.
I understand.
Because we're not from the industry, we could think about that.
I understand. No, that's a key trait that I've seen. But tell me something. And I think you've spoken about this in the past. I don't know if I've read it online, I follow you a lot, or we've discussed it. But LiveItUp was something that you were really passionate about as a product. And you've spoken about how that product had your bias to a certain degree. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
And what your learning was from it, and then how do you take that learning and apply it to your product portfolio? Because I remember after that, your approach to product changed.
Yeah. So look, LiveItUp was 25-year-old me wanting to sell a product that I was having fun with, right? And so I didn't want to sell diabetes, arthritis and asthma when I started. So I launched this hangover product, and I can tell you, today if I launch that hangover product, it will be a much bigger success because I have access to distribution channel I didn't have at that time.
Sure.
What is the biggest problem with LiveItUp? You're having a pre-game before you're going out at night and you want the product now, and it's not available at every single chemist shop. Today, in 15 minutes, you'll get it on Instamart or Zepto.
Exactly.
That time I didn't have that channel, right?
Exactly.
By the time I sold the business, that channel had just started.
Right.
In 21, the channel just started sort of coming together.
Yeah.
So, I didn't have that channel. And so it became Amazon. Amazon and my website meant that it took 7 days, 6 days, 5 days for the product to reach you. You've had the pre-game, you've had the party, you've had the hangover. You hated the hangover. You're thinking of the next party, then this product reaches you, doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And so we used a lot of viral marketing. Like, you would remember every bar, restaurant, club, pub, lounge, music festival.
I mean, you lived that brand on your sleeve.
I used to stand outside bars and hand it out myself.
It was crazy.
Like, Trist.
You want to talk about this a little bit? Because I think sometimes founders, me included, I'm like super guilty. I'm like, no, like, maybe I shouldn't, like, maybe I should just keep talking about my brand through a formal channel. But you were so brazen about it. Can you talk about it?
I think it's there is that fear, embarrassment and guilt.
Yeah.
Until someone says shit to you. Right? So I was wearing a LiveItUp cap to a friend's birthday party.
Yeah.
And the guy said, dude, just please stop marketing your brand. Like, it sucks, like you're pushing it too hard. And I was like, that's all, right? That's the worst that can happen. Right? I'm okay with him saying that. When I started writing on LinkedIn, someone came up to me at a wedding in Bombay, South Bombay person, and said, your LinkedIn content is so annoying, like, stop it. Like, I blocked you on LinkedIn or I like unfollowed you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 months later, that was 50,000 followers and everybody was talking about it and that person would never think about it, right?
I love it.
So, that guilt goes away.
Sure.
Can you be the only person marketing your brand? No. So if you're only pushing your brand and nothing else is pushing your brand, it won't scale, right?
Of course.
It's not only on you.
Of course.
Unless you've got like 1 million followers on Instagram, etc., all of that. But there is no shame in doing it. And I remember someone sending me a message. I should send a broadcast once every 3 months about LiveItUp. And I wasn't intrusive.
Right.
And one entrepreneur who had raised $2 million and $2 million in 17, 18 was a lot of money.
Sure.
Said, hey dude, stop pushing your brand so much. Get me off this broadcast list. It hurt at that moment. But that guy's business shut down. So fuck him, right? Like, whatever.
I love it, man. You got to wear it on your sleeve.
And there's no option.
Yeah.
And there's no shame. And people will shame
You have to be shameless
People will
as an
shame you.
entrepreneur.
But people will shame you. And that's okay. Let them shame you.
Exactly.
Let them shame you, right? Because that 10% of people that are shaming you, like they
It
don't.
probably doesn't matter at all.
And today, less people will shame you. Because today the startup culture is normal. Founders doing this is normal. Founders creating reels is normal.
Correct.
Founders talking about their brand is normal.
Yeah.
Coming on Shark Tank is normal.
No, I want to just, it's very interesting because sometimes, I don't know, man, I feel like I don't think of myself as an old person, even though we're like in our 30s and stuff like that right now. And 10 years isn't a long time in the scheme of things. But in these last 10 years, a lot has changed in terms of the mindset. So a lot of these basic things that we're talking about right now, it seems basic to maybe an entrepreneur who comes to you and pitches. They were very contrarian and very different to do or hard to do at the time. It wasn't being done typically. So that's why I just wanted to maybe spend a minute on that. But back to the previous question, right? We were talking about LiveItUp and...
so finally on LiveItUp, the product didn't succeed.
Sure.
And it didn't succeed because the channel wasn't there. And so after 1.5 years, 2 years, it was doing 10, 15, 20 lakhs a month at max in season.
Yeah.
Off season, I was doing 5, 7, 10 lakhs a month. That's the market, right? If you go outside Bombay, Delhi and Bangalore, I went to Chandigarh thinking it's a massive market and the guy said, I drink for a hangover. I don't want this. I'm like, no, how can you do that?
Yeah.
No, I drink for a hangover. So I realized that that's not the opportunity. I also did customer service for the first year myself. I took like more than 1,000 calls. And those customers who were buying from my website weren't buying LiveItUp. They were buying a liver protector, and they were buying a diabetes medicine, and they were buying a weight loss product. And they were in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And that's when the Dr. Vaidya's brand changed. It was not minimalistic, urban, cool. It was a Bharat brand that was using regional language advertising. And that was a portfolio of 29 products at that time. Eventually went to 80 products.
Yeah.
And our top sellers were weight management. Our top sellers were sexual wellness. Our top sellers were diabetes. They were more chronic ailment products, which is what Ayurveda brands are known for.
Right.
And yes, we had a top seller, which was a Chyawanprash toffee. But we also sold them on traditional products, and that was fine. And what we were solving was, we offered the same consultation that was free in our clinic to a customer online.
That was a big part of that package.
And on the phone, a customer in Muzaffarnagar, Anantnag, Trichy, Imphal didn't have an Ayurvedic doctor close to them.
Can we talk about this for a second? So essentially what you're saying is, there was a service element to the product.
But it was a free service.
Completely. But
It was a trust builder.
Did that change the game for you in terms of
30%
sales?
increase in average order value. Not sales.
Okay.
Not sales.
Okay.
If a customer does a consult, there were customers who bought the product without the consult as well.
Yeah, of course.
The ones who needed the trust eventually spent 30-35% more.
Understood. So this is something that's maybe really, really interesting for product-focused
And by the way,
companies
today
to
free
think about.
consultations available everywhere.
100%.
But I will go out and say that we were the first guys to do it.
Nice.
And I didn't come up with the idea.
There's a company called Man Matters.
I mean, there are tens of companies now that give the free consultation.
Yeah.
We were the first guys to do it. But I will not say I came up with the idea. My dada offered a free consultation in his clinic because he didn't want income starter to prevent people from entering his clinic.
Correct.
And so I just took that same service online.
It just makes so much common sense, right? I think that's really...
But I didn't come up with the idea.
No, I mean, fair enough. It's not something
not
revolutionary,
rocket
but it was not done digitally. Product companies saying, buy my product, e-commerce site, checkout, done. There was, I think sometimes entrepreneurs, and I don't know if you've seen this with your cohort, maybe this has become par for the course specifically, but in general, people are like, hey, I'm a product company. But you don't realize that it's people to people. If you can do things to augment it, even how you do your marketing or whatnot, right? It's really focused on connecting people. So that 35% increase change makes it, obviously it's not, and these things are not typically scalable. They're more human intensive. But interesting for you to point that out. So the product, obviously the portfolio changed from something that you 25-year-old you wanted to do to something that was more based in reality, chronic ailments, and people, just so we all understand, why were people coming to you versus going to an established set? Like, for example, we know about Charak and Dr. Ram and all those guys. Right? Again, lots of legacy around the brand. Like, why would they come and buy a Dr. Vaidya's product? Not that Dr. Vaidya doesn't have that legacy, but in that digital avatar.
Initially, we were the only brand on the digital avatar.
Right.
Nobody else saw the opportunity, spotted the opportunity. And so either early point in 17 and maybe a little part of 18, if you were searching Ayurveda online, you found us.
Got it.
You didn't find anyone else.
So it was just first to market digitally.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Because there is no reason that you will buy me over X, Y, Z, ABC, Ayurveda brand that are much bigger and have much
Are
more.
products in this commoditized? Like, are there enough differentiating points or?
There is and there isn't.
Okay.
We sold only proprietary products, but I can't tell you that my product was 100% different from what anyone else sold.
Understood.
Yeah, of course, common ingredients, etc.
Yeah.
But I had proprietary recipes.
Of course.
But I think the channel choice and the lack of competition on that channel was what helped us.
Speed.
Because the older traditional business were like, this is not big enough an opportunity for us.
Exactly.
And I was like, boss, 50 lakhs a month on Amazon, that's a huge opportunity to start.
Correct.
Eventually, we did much more than that.
Of course.
It's a big opportunity.
Of course. No, thanks for that. Let's move into then how you built out. I just want to talk about a few operational aspects of the business, right? Because I think people will learn from that. I'm sure you do already, but in a different style and nuance. And if you feel like you've covered it, just lead me down another path. I know that TikTok was a big part of your early successes.
For the 10, 12 months that it was live in India.
I mean, I remember from your MISs.
We would spend 5 lakhs a day on TikTok.
Wow.
Probably top 10 spenders in India.
Talk to us about distribution. How do you do this? Because that seems like the pillar.
See, I think everyone was using Facebook. And everyone was using Instagram and everyone was using Google.
Yeah.
And then this thing called TikTok came and I saw my customers were all using TikTok. And so I said, okay, chal, let me try to figure out how to use TikTok. But they didn't even have an ad product ready in India, right?
Yeah.
So I went to my performance marketing agency and I said, dude, can you get me a connect to TikTok? I want to advertise there. And he was like, yeah, my college senior works at TikTok. And
Yeah.
he's getting back and it'll take 10, 15 days and this and whatever. Then I got TikTok.
Huh.
And I saw ads on TikTok and I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
So I Googled TikTok India head.
Huh.
Some 4 different names came up. I wrote to all of them on LinkedIn saying, I want to spend money on your platform. Can you please reply to me? They all replied to me. In 2 days, someone from TikTok was sitting in my office. The 4th day, my account was set up and I was selling.
Unreal.
And in the early days of a platform, if the platform is successful, they want advertising, they help advertisers. Think about what Facebook advertising looked like in the early 2000s. They would send someone to your office to optimize the ads.
Yeah.
They would give you credits. If your ROAS was down, they would...
People forget that. There was a whole service around, there was a huge service
doesn't exist
which
anymore.
today it's reserved for the top point-something%.
So we were part of that. And that allowed us to scale massively on TikTok. I told them if the ROAS is below 4, I don't want to work with you.
Right.
So they would make sure the ROAS was at 3.5 or 3.
Crazy. So, so obviously TikTok was a big part.
40% of ad spend.
40% of your ad spend, I'm sure even
40% was Facebook ecosystem and then 10-15% was Google and then the rest was.
So I remember, and I can't remember the order sequence of this, you were first offline or...
For like 7-8 months.
For like 7-8 months. And
we failed.
Why did you stop that?
We failed.
Why? What is it? Like return? Because I'm assuming there is a set distribution, or would people not order the product?
No, I didn't have enough money to market. Yeah. I didn't know offline distribution.
Yeah.
And I didn't have enough right to win, right? So I was using social media marketing and I was telling my retailers I'm using social media marketing. They were like, no customer is on social media buying your product.
Correct.
And if the customer is not buying your product, we don't want your product.
Right.
And so for the first 3-4 months, I couldn't find a way for customers to buy my product and they returned all the product. And so we got 10 lakhs of stock in market.
Yeah.
In Jan 2017. In April 2017, we got 9 lakhs back and only 1 lakh in cash. And that was the end.
It was the end. And you never through the journey.
I was scarred too much to try it again.
You never got through it again.
I could have and I should have, but I was scarred too much to try it again.
Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about your HR and how your team was structured? Because I remember you being, one thing I would say about you, Arjun, I think when we were working together, our team fucked up a couple of times in managing your accounts. So there was some issue in the reconciliation and MIS and things. As a customer, you were very, and as a vendor to you, you didn't treat us like that. You were very, this is my team, we're going to work together and we're going to solve. We have the same, obviously, approach and mindset. When you screw up, you own up and you go and fix it. You reacted very differently to us than sometimes other entrepreneurs do. We were part of your team. We were there for 2-3 days. I think maybe Tejas was living in your office for a week. He worked with Trisha, with you and one other person and solved it. So at that point, that's when I was like, okay, I really have respect for this guy because he really wants to build a team and really wants to build an organization.
I think the other thing is, I learned from experience that when something goes wrong, if I call you and I yell at you, and you know also it's gone wrong, it's not like you don't know. If you're denying it, yes, I will have to convince you that it's wrong. But if you accept it as well, what do we get from crying over spilled milk, right? So, we have to solve the issue together.
Right.
So, okay, I can talk to you 1 week later when the issue is solved about how badly you fucked up and how we won't do it again.
Right.
But today when the issue is in front of me, I have to solve the issue first.
Right.
And so unless I have you
Sure.
on board with me, there's no way to solve that issue.
Right.
And that's the way we worked every time.
Yeah.
Okay. Initially, I would freak out when my factory sent a wrongly labeled product.
Yeah.
But I remember calling my dad and being like, I'm going to fire this guy, I'm going to do this. He's like, you need the product tomorrow, right? So send it back, solve it, and then fire him day after tomorrow. Doesn't make sense.
Sure. So just talk to us. I mean, that was obviously just my personal experience, but talk to us about your approach to people, how the org structure was laid out.
Look, I think the one thing I realized is don't hire for talent, hire for alignment of vision.
Okay.
My best hires were people who were straight out of college or had let's say a lady had a job in a bank and then took 4 years off for her kids.
Yeah.
Like her 2 kids were born and she needed time with the kids and then she was looking for a job after.
Right.
She was super smart.
Right.
But nobody took a bet on her. We took a bet on her. And she became the head of our customer service team eventually.
Nice.
She was a caller when she became a head of our customer service team. And she cried in the interview when I said yes because she said, around 50 interviews, no one gave me a chance. I won't let you regret this. Right?
That's incredible.
And that's the kind of team we built. We didn't have our highest paid person at Dr. Vaidya's that exited 100 crore ARR was 18 lakhs per annum. But we had the people who were...
That is super
I'll give you a story,
right?
right? COVID, one of my team members left because he went to pursue a master's.
Right.
Very good team member in my marketing team, super sharp, straight out of college. Joined us as an intern, graduated to full-time team member. He started a masks business, as everyone did in COVID.
Sure.
And he came to me very excited and gave me the first mask, saying, I want to give you the first mask. On the mask, it said proudly Indian. If you remember on Dr. Vaidya's, each and every one of our products said proudly Indian.
Right.
That is culture. He left our organization and he remembered to put proudly Indian on his product.
Lovely. I love that, man. So, one thing that kind of stands out there, an interesting metric. You said the highest paid guy, when you were doing 100 crores in revenue, made 20 lakhs a year. You weren't necessarily hiring MBAs. You weren't necessarily hiring fancy folk that have been there, done that.
And no disrespect to them.
No disrespect. The idea here is not to disrespect, just to understand what you did.
But I think for us, the kind of organization we were building, the kind of culture we were building, and the rapid growth of evolution, right? I was not doing 80 crore the year before I did 100 crore. We did like 30 crore. And the year before we did like 10, right?
Sure.
So that rapid growth of evolution, then you need people who can hustle and run and change their responsibility overnight.
So did you find, like, I'm sure at some point, and I'm digging here, did you find like, hey, maybe listen, like I want to get some B-school dude or some guy that's
We did, it didn't work.
It didn't work. Did you hire them?
Five times.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
I think it's nothing wrong with them, there's something wrong with us. We were building the organization in a different way. We were scaling really fast. We didn't have everything figured out.
So why didn't it work for them then?
I hired a guy from Unilever as my head of sales.
Yeah.
And he joined. And then he said, I need a 7 crore budget this year.
Sure.
And I said, don't even have one.
Sure.
He said, it won't work for me. I said, okay, fine. I'm not going to lie to you and say, I have 7 crore, I don't have 7, dude. I'm never going to have 7 in the next, 3 months. So it doesn't work.
I think we can just leave it at that. I think it's self-explanatory. When entrepreneurs are building teams, people are going to hustle and really show up.
Blame him. That's what he knew.
100%.
And we made success in a roundabout way, maybe somehow, whatever, but he thought it's not going to work.
Yeah. Lovely. Moving on. And I think it's the last piece that I want to talk about with Dr. Vaidya. And obviously, I'll leave it to you if you want to cover something you feel that's useful. But how did you go about funding the business? Walk us through the entire finances.
Very simple. My dada left behind 4 crore rupees in the company.
Yeah.
We started with that. We used that for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Then we had to raise external capital.
Yeah.
It took me 1 year to eventually get that capital. I pitched to 76 people. And one person, a few people agreed eventually.
76 people for your first round of funding.
My first and only round of funding.
Sure.
One round of
Right.
funding.
Yeah, correct.
So, pitched to a lot of people. Eventually, when the business was doing well, 5-6 people agreed. Before the business was doing well, nobody agreed. That's a big learning. Like, if you're trying to pitch something that is not working.
Yeah.
It's not working. Like, you know it's not working. Of course, the investor will know it's not working.
Correct.
And then, eventually, when I raised that money, I gave my dad back 1 crore of the 4 crores that was in the company.
Yeah.
And we raised 1 round of funding from RP Sanjeev Goenka Group with the idea they wanted to buy the business eventually.
So that was like an upfront conversation? Like how did that evolve?
No, it's an upfront conversation. They said, we will own this business or a large chunk of this business today.
Yeah.
Eventually, we want to buy the business. When we want to buy the business, we will figure out as you go along because that's the journey.
Depends on your scale.
But we are telling you that in 5-7 years, this will be our business, not yours. Are you
Correct.
okay with that?
Why were you? Were you like? Did any part of you be like, "Hey, I'm not sure if I want to do this"? Or
Of course, but like I asked myself a simple question: out of the 5-6 offers on the table, who believes in you the most? And they believe me the most.
Sure.
Because,
Fair enough, man.
Like raising money is a honeymoon period.
Yeah.
After you raise the money, you're working together. That's the real marriage, right?
Absolutely.
And in that marriage, who believed in me the most? They believed in me the most.
And in a way, I guess for your first business, having a path. I mean, not that I think entrepreneurs sometimes do make the mistake of optimizing for an exit and next fundraise, but
That time, by the way, nobody knew about an exit. We were one of the first few exits, right? So nobody knew.
Sure.
At our time, when our exit happened, people were like, "Oh, dude, sorry."
No, by that I mean it was on everyone's deck. How will you exit was a golden question to
But
answer.
it didn't happen. Now everyone says, when entrepreneurs tell me upfront they want to exit their business, I say, okay, then I don't want to work with you.
Sure.
Because I did not start my business to sell it. I started
just so
to build a good business. One of the options along the way came on an exit and I chose that option.
Correct.
But I didn't start it to sell.
So a fairly straightforward funding journey, actually. Not necessarily that. Okay, fair enough, man. So that event happened. You want to talk about this, like metrics that took you there?
Yeah,
from like,
sure.
Because I'm assuming those steps to the entire buyout.
When we raised capital, we were doing 50 lakhs a month.
Yeah.
And we got lucky that COVID hit and we were already the biggest Ayurveda brand in the country. And so we went from 50 lakhs to 10 times that, 12 times that, 15 times that in 18 months.
Damn.
And
this was all on the back of like content and performance and influencers and everything digital.
Like 95% digital business.
Great.
60%, 65% on our website, 35% on marketplaces.
Right.
But COVID helped us and we grew a lot and we were in the right place at the right time.
Sure.
A lot of people say, oh, you're so lucky you're in the right place at the right time. No. I spent 3.5 years to be in that place. So you got to keep hitting darts at that dartboard until you hit the bullseye. And when you learn how to hit the bullseye, you got to keep hitting that bullseye, right?
Correct.
That's how it works for everyone's journey. And I think eventually at the point where we got an opportunity to exit, I think both us and them didn't expect the business to scale so fast. And it scaled that fast. Then they gave an offer to buy the business and we took that offer and it was not so easy. And I've talked many places about why I chose the offer, why I took the offer, etc. But at that time it was the right thing for the business and the right thing for me.
Yeah.
And if you were sitting in my place, maybe we won't have done that. And that's okay.
100%.
For me and Trisha, that time.
That's such a key thing. Just where you are personally also matters so much to decisions like this, right?
And it's my decision. It was my decision and Trisha's decision, nobody else's decision.
That's amazing.
And that is a crucial point for everyone to understand, right?
Correct.
Don't comment on someone else's funding round or exit because they took that choice.
Correct.
And you don't know what else is playing in the background.
Yeah. 110%, man. It's really not anyone's business. No, but thanks for talking about that. You're done. You've built out. You've taken what was a very successful family. I'm just going to call it setup. Then, I'm not going to use the word business. And built it out into a leader online. You've built out a very successful exit. Did you then pause? I think again you've written about this online. You took a moment. I think you and your dad were talking about this. And
we took a pause, but it was a very short pause because we couldn't do our dream, which was.
No, did you already start like lining up? Did you like? You could also like retire, and you've got an adorable baby now. Like,
first, you say you want to retire. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. We retired, we chilled, and then the calendar was free, and there was squash at 11 o'clock at Willingdon and table tennis at 2 p.m. lessons in my building, and that's it. That's not easy.
Sure.
And so 3, 4, 5 months later, when I couldn't travel the world, which we wanted to do, we wanted to take 6 months to travel in Europe, and we had money to do that, and we had no responsibilities and no kid, etc. All of that. And second wave hit, and then we moved to Alibag. Then life started again, and I started speaking to entrepreneurs. I started investing a little bit of money. I created a D2C program, a course.
Yeah.
I started enjoying adding value to founders.
Right.
And I got the opportunity to start a VC fund.
Correct.
With a very, very good partner.
Right.
Of World Invest.
Yeah.
And they said, we want to start a VC business in India. And now it's been 3 years that I've been doing that with them.
You've been smashing.
We finished our first fund. We just started our second fund this January.
Yeah.
And I'm loving this next leg of journey. And the next leg of journey is, can I use my expertise, money and knowledge to enable 100 Dr. Vaidyas to be created?
Spot on, man.
And that's what we're trying to do.
There's no greater way.
As well.
Absolutely, man. We're actually just ecosystem enablers, and we do it through services. You do it with funding and your advice and so many different kind of capacities. And really, I think that's God's work for our country. We need meaningful entrepreneurs and businesses built. So, talk to us a little bit about the VC business. You're on the dark side now. How does that business work? Walk us through it, because I feel like maybe even a lot of entrepreneurs still just don't understand, because you have certain incentives. You have certain, numbers that you've got to look at. Do you all have external LPs?
We have
at
only
the
one.
fund?
We have only one LP, so
Yeah.
it's not a typical fund structure. Usually funds have many LPs, but whether you have one or many, it's the same thing, right? You take some people's capital, like a mutual fund or a fixed deposit. You give a sort of ballpark of return that you're supposed to get for them.
Yeah.
On that return or on the profit that you make on the capital, you have a share of the profit, which we call carry.
Sure.
And my business is a business of rejection, not a business of investing. I limit 100 companies a month and I'll invest in one or less.
Right.
So I can invest in only 10 to 12 companies from each month.
You've transitioned into a very successful career now on, as I call it, the dark side. This is a Star Wars reference, huh? But, walk us through the VC business. I know that you were talking offline a little bit about how it's maybe a little boring, but I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs don't get it. They don't understand what your incentives are. And if you don't understand the incentives of the person that you're pitching to, then you're not going to have a successful pitch.
Like I'll say that, a lot of times I'm not able to invest in a business. And some people may take it like on themselves that, I wasn't able to impress him, I wasn't able to do it. But I can only invest in 6-7 companies a year from my fund. Maybe 7-8 at max, right?
Yeah.
And so I can't invest in everyone. And India is a big country. There's so many things. And so many deals we can't do for other reasons, right? Like we've already done one deal in that space. Our fund doesn't do fashion. Our fund doesn't do alcohol investments. Or at that time, it wasn't the right time to do it. But it doesn't mean the business will be a failure, right?
Sure.
Like, so a lot of times I felt bad, investor didn't put money in me. And 2 years later, when we were doing fine, the investor said, congratulations. And I was like, you missed out at that time. But now when I see it on the other side, you can't do every single deal. But there are enough funds out there in India now that you will find the right person to back you. And the other thing is you need only one person to back you, right?
Yeah.
I pitched to 75 people, even if only one said yes, it's fine.
Exactly.
Totally okay, right? And so I think the incentives are that I am given a pool of capital. I have from one person, but a lot of people have from multiple people.
Right.
You commit a certain amount of return. You have to give that return. On that return, a share of the profit gets given to what we call the general partners or GPs.
Yeah.
And the rest gets returned to the limited partners or LPs who have put the money in the deal. And so my job is to maximize my return.
Yeah.
And so I am incentivized that all my companies do that.
Absolutely.
Right? Sometimes people say that, this investor wanted the company to go down, etc. That. Every investor wants every company to work.
Yeah.
There's a difference between consumer investing and tech investing.
Yeah.
In consumer investing, our playbook is more success, less return. Which means I'd be okay if my best company in my portfolio makes 10 times return. Yeah. But my lower performers will make me 2-3 times return. But I want 60-70% success rate. As compared to a tech investor may have one company generating 100x.
Exactly.
And the rest 80-90% failing also, but they're still able to make that 10 times return on their fund.
That's really interesting. I want to talk about that. But just before, is it possible for you to add numbers? Typically, what kind of return do you have to commit to your LPs?
So in a country like India, you should commit at least 10% more than the stock market.
Right.
Assume the stock market delivers 10-12% per annum. You have to commit at least 20, if not 25% return per annum.
Right.
Or IRR. That's what you usually.
That's what people
That's what's
expect.
expected in a illiquid, high-risk alternative asset class.
Sure. Fair enough.
In equity. In debt, it could be 15%.
Fair enough. We totally get it, man. 25% IRR is not easy to achieve. So that's probably why you're getting a no, guys. But in that journey of raising capital, I know you're doing it with one person. I don't know if you have plans to expand that. Are you seeing... So that's probably great, right?
For now, at least, we won't.
For now, you won't. But you spoke about how, I've known VCs, people that we've worked with very closely on their portfolio of customers, sometimes more, obviously, again, with everything that we do. But we've seen like ruthlessness and I think the first 10 years saw that, right? I don't know if you've seen this, but my understanding of returns has been sub 15% IRR for most VC funds.
Sure. Yeah.
So risk adjusted, I'm like, why the hell would I invest?
Hopefully we can
with these guys.
We can now change some of it.
Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that change? Number one, and are you seeing? And this is something I've not understood. is why do VCs force companies to have absolute outcomes, right? I understand how the power law works and whatnot.
That's more in tech investing. In consumer investing, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a difference in approach. See, I think the market was also not evolved. India was not evolved. No startups were listing. No acquisitions were happening. I spoke about this recently, right? Two things I'll tell you. One is now a lot of D2C brands are getting acquired. There are 15, 20, 30, 50 stories now.
Correct.
Ours was one of the first few, right?
Right.
In 5 years, you've seen, or 3 years, 4 years, you've seen so many of those happen. The second thing I think is that a lot of investment was done in this ecosystem before the ecosystem was mature because it was great dinner table conversation.
Sure.
Oh, I backed that cool startup. I want to talk about
Really? It was as shallow as that?
Are you talking about, oh, I invested in Kotak Mutual Fund or PPFAS Mutual Fund and that's like amazing. Like he delivered me 12% return this year and he's the best MF, right?
Sure.
No, I invested in Blue Smart. Their cabs are the best cabs in the country and they are EV and I got them at Delhi airport. And by the way, this Diwali hamper I sent you was all my brands that I invested in. Do you like that? Laddu that I sent you, do you like that?
Sure.
Moisturizer that I sent you.
Correct.
That kind of thing. And the market wasn't evolved and so people liked that dinner table conversation but the absolute returns were not there and they will be there now.
Right.
I'm telling you they will be there because founders are getting smarter. They're much smarter than we were and we were reasonably smart when we did the business and so you'll get the returns.
Understood.
You will get those.
Interesting. Just one last piece on the VC side and again obvious, but if someone's out there, I know there's more than 400 coming to just play pickle with you and if no one knows, there's a pickle tournament that Arjun has organized. If you beat him,
not even a tournament.
If you beat him
one-on-one.
If you beat him one-on-one, I lost my chance of getting funded today by like 2 points, so I'll be back again. But my point is that if someone's out there looking at raising money from you, just walk us through this again, man. Give them the basics. What should they look out for? How are they going to stand out to you? And what hypotheses are in your mind already waiting to get proven?
See, I only invest in consumer from the fund. So it has to be a consumer-facing business. Other than that, I'm not a typical VC to say, I'm looking for this and I'm waiting for this and I'm looking for that. Of course, there's certain spaces I'm excited about. Like I would be excited about sports, fitness, health, nutrition, beauty, personal care. I'd be excited about the pet space. But I invested in a backpacking hostel business. I never thought I would. Right? And so as long as you're building a good business and you build a compelling story and you have the passion to do it, I'm not going to say no to anything.
Got it.
I invest in a backpacking hostel business, a low sugar, low cal, zero sugar ice cream, beauty personal care business, a healthy food QSR, and a vernacular content platform in the same fund. If you asked me before I started, would I invest in that business? I mean, whenever Cuckoo's FM numbers come out, it will shock everybody who's listening to this podcast. I can't share what they're doing, but they're doing numbers that you won't even imagine they're doing now.
I love that product, love that business, so I'm sure. I can't wait. No, thanks for that, Arjun. I think just the last couple of questions is on family. I think that's probably one of the most underrated and in your case at the forefront and very rare that happens. We've got a husband-wife duo. Talk to us about the role of your family. Obviously, it's omnipresent in your career, right?
I think it's an important part of my life, not just from a work perspective, but entrepreneurs need a strong support system. And that was my family. When shit was getting tough and things were really hard, my grandmom was such a big help to keep my confidence going. My parents were such a big help. When we didn't have anyone in the warehouse, my brother left his jewelry business because nothing was happening in jewelry business and came and packed orders with me in the Dr. Vaidya's warehouse for 1.5 months until we had staff.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. And I think now it's become even more important because the moment you have kids, you really see a different perspective on life. And, you know, I sound like an old parent saying they grow up too fast, you have a different perspective, but you do.
Yeah.
And so I was late to come here because my daughter wanted me to help her place her dolls in the right order and she wouldn't let me leave until I did that. And I had no option but to do that.
Of course, man.
That's life.
I love it. I love it. No, thanks, Arjun. Really, really appreciate the time that you've taken. We've got to make pickle happen again. And I hope that people have maybe seen Arjun in a slightly, more raw
the
kind
Mumbai Indians hat in a backwards cap.
That's never going to change. I think you'll be like 90 years old and still dressed exactly the same. And I love that. But just in a kind of very raw fashion and really understanding what it's taken him to kind of build to where he is today. And it's just the start. So thank you again so much.
My pleasure. This is so much
really
fun.
Appreciate it, brother.
Next time you'll be
Cheers,
me.
man. God willing. Then if you give me a check also.